Hello and welcome back to Onto the Ball. I'm the host Scott Nichol, joined by my co-hosts as always, Travis Morgan and James O'Brien. How you doing, lads? You okay?
Very well, very well.
Good, thank you. Yeah, really good. A little bit underwhelmed, but I'm sure we'll get into that pretty quickly.
Yes. So the World Cup is upon us, and as if it couldn't have got any more ridiculous being in Qatar, in the one of the hottest places on earth. They had to move it to November, disrupt the season. The stupidness has carried on with the worst ever opening game ever, Qatar versus Ecuador, just to stick the knife in us, stick the boot in us. The banned the beer 48 hours before the tournament starts. And then the first game kicks off, and I don't know if you boys seen it, but that ridiculous ruled out goal for, I think it must have been offside. I don't know
Yeah,
what is going on, but corruption. It's just, to me, it's to stick the boot in on the whole competition again, just to compound the ridiculousness of it.
yeah. Twitter went
Absolutely.
wild when that goal got disallowed, actually. I had a quick look on Twitter after that goal got disallowed, and there's a lot of memes going about and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. Any sort of decision that goes Qatar's way, people are going to say it's for corruption and stuff like that. It's going to be funny. But no, I think it was, like Obi said, it was a bit of a drab second half. Ecuador just had too much quality for Qatar, really. And I just think it's going to be a very, very long week for Qatar, surely.
And I suppose
Absolutely.
it feeds into the whole thing around. I know they've tried to make it a World Cup from a view of having teams from different parts of the world, but let's be honest, Italy are sitting at home, or Italy are just having a nice little break right now, and just to think that Italy aren't there yet, both them teams are just it doesn't feel right, and it feels like it's really badly wrong, and it just doesn't sit right with me at all.
Yeah, it's always been the same. It's easier to win the World Cup than it is the Euros, isn't it? Because there's more pony teams in it, or should we say camel teams in it this time?
Yeah.
Um,
There's just no quality in that game at all. I mean, it was just Qatar. I think are absolutely abysmal. They really are abysmal.
Well,
Ecuador are one of the poorer teams in the World Cup, but they can knock a ball around, and they've got a couple of players who play in the Premier League, and they're not even huge players in the divisions that they're playing in, but they're just absolutely leagues above them. And I think they eased off on them. I really do. And it just made the whole thing more
yeah.
ridiculous that people were walking out after an hour.
did you see the Paddy Power post?
Yeah, I
No,
did. Yeah,
I
absolutely
didn't see
brilliant.
that. What was
Absolutely
that?
brilliant.
They said no wonder the stadium's half empty. People have got to be up early in the morning to pretend they're fans from other countries. Have you seen all this Ferrari going on? There's loads of
Yeah.
I don't know what nationality they are, Ob, but they
Fake,
keep
fake
putting on
fans, aren't they?
all England tops, running around singing England songs. Then
Really?
the next day they're all in Spain tops, pretending they're Spanish. Oh, it's farcical. But I mean, FIFA, or I don't even know if it's Qatar. I don't know who's running the show, but they could have had a little sweetener with a game on tonight at 7 o'clock. But the fact they made that the show centerpiece of the whole day, just that game, to me, it's just sticking the boot in even more and just turning
Yeah.
this
And it's and,
even more
and it's a
farcical than it already is.
yeah, it's almost like a kick in the privates for everybody really who loves football when you've grown up watching the World Cup, and you think about them famous early games like the 1995 the start of the 1990 World Cup finals where Cameroon beat Argentina in the San Siro, and the drama behind that, and everything that happened of Oman Biek scoring the goal and a couple of players getting sent off from Cameroon, and it just felt amazing, and it felt like wow, let's go, let's get into this World Cup.
Yeah.
That has just made me think, how many drab games are we going to watch over the next couple of weeks till we get to anything like a competitive football game?
Let's talk about
Hopefully,
that
yeah.
disallowed goal. Can any of you? I looked forward to halftime just to watch it, and I felt like even the BBC skated over it. Like someone said they showed a still where it was offside, but it was like a still even though there was three players playing him onside. I'm
I
confused.
think
Have I
I
missed
think it's that
something?
I think it had to do with the rule because the keeper sort of came out. Um, then you have to have at least two players behind the ball or something for it to then
Yeah.
be like an offside thing, and they've given it on that technicality because there was only like, I think it was just two. I think it has to be more than two. So because there wasn't more than two, and he wasn't, his leg or his knee was like ahead of the third defender or something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure myself. I looked at it and I was just like, it was a little bit weird. But I think the keeper's flapping sort of helped Qatar out a lot inadvertently. I didn't think he knew what he was doing. He couldn't catch a cold all game, that keeper. He was terrible.
Absolutely terrible goalkeeper. I mean, surely one of the other outfield boys was better off going in goals instead of him.
He was shocking, weren't he? He was just awful. I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, like I think that sort of helped Qatar out in that sense. But like you said, to me, when I watched Qatar, I didn't know who any of the players were. But from watching them today, every time they got the ball and they had a chance to go forward, they just went backwards all the time. Like they just kept passing back all the time. And to be fair, the midfield players, I felt sorry for them because they were in good positions, like showing on the half turn wanting the ball. And it was like they just weren't pumping it into them. So I just don't know what they're working on in training or how progressive they are, but they were really a poor outfit. I literally can't think of that there's going to be a worse team than them in the whole competition, to be fair.
Maybe it is a bit of bad luck, but if there was ever a tournament in a destination that could do without a corrupt looking decision in the first 5 minutes, it's this one, and we got it. It was like the script was written. So Twitter blew up. I'd done a short on it. I showed the video of Dion Dublin saying, "I cannot see anything. I'm dumbfounded. I'm lost. Where is it?" That's blown up a little bit. It's got 3,000 views. So that reminds me, if you're new to the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing videos through the World Cup. But yeah, I don't know. An underwhelming start to the World Cup, but let's get on to what we're here to talk about, and that's obviously England. I thought we'd talk about the starting lineup. I seen Neville and Carragher, and is it Karen Carney or someone on Sky Sports doing what they done was they picked a team, and I thought we should do that too. And they started the team with who are definitely going to start. So the three of us agree on that.
So
and that's it.
Are we talking about who we think we should start, or are we talking about what he's likely to do? Because this is, and it's kind of the problem ultimately, that I don't think any of us are going to have the same starting 11 as what Southgate's going to start with, and that bothers me in itself. And I think if you went out and did a poll of England fans, you wouldn't get near. And it bothers me. That just bothers me, even thinking about it this afternoon.
Listen, if you and Trav have a disagreement and fall out over it, it makes great TV. So, yeah, let's just go for it. But I'm thinking the obvious ones that are a no-brainer. You might correct me. I might be jumping the gun. But Bellingham and Declan Rice, both in the centre of midfield.
Yeah.
Kane up top.
Yeah.
And for me, you might not agree with me, but Foden. I just think the
agree.
I think
as well. I think it's about the system. So we're playing Iran. So he'll play forward to back. He'll play one holding. So I imagine what he will do is he will use Rice as the holding and let Bellingham go into more of an 8. I would have thought that's the way he'll go, and then put somebody in beside him, quite possibly Foden or maybe someone like that, to really take the game to them in the middle of the park. I mean, I think Trippier will start. I think he's pretty much a bang on.
Yeah, I agree with you. OB, what about you, Trav?
Yeah, Trippier, I can't see past him at right back, unless he comes up with some sort of tactical ploy where he thinks its delivery is going to be important for the game. But no, I think Trippier is definitely the informed player who deserves to start really in that right back position.
He's having a great season as well, isn't he? You can't deny him that.
Yeah,
he is, and he's looking like the player he was when he first moved to Atletico Madrid, and he looks like he's got everything. Great signing for Newcastle, quality player, so solid, dependable, and really, really good in positions. Positionally, he is fantastic. He just knows where to be on the park at the right time. And I think probably some time under Simeone has got him that extra added ability on position, because Atletico Madrid teams traditionally have been always all about you've got to be in the right position at the right time. You've got to be able to defend as a team, attack as a team, know what's going on, the organisation. And I think Trippier's just benefited from that and come back to Newcastle a better footballer.
Yeah, and thinking about Newcastle and their back line, I thought Dan Burn was unlucky not to go because Travel probably tried to pull my pants down and call me a liar, but I spotted him at Brighton.
No, you did. I remember you saying.
Do you remember me saying when Brighton beat us 1-0 at Anfield, Obi, and when we had no centre backs, and he played on the left, and he looked like Roberto Carlos. And I remember
that's
thinking,
the thing. That's the thing. He's so versatile, Scott. Yeah. So he can play. He can play centre back. He can play, like you say, on the left. He's got ability, and he's big, and he uses that height really, really well defensively, attacking wise. He would have been a real good option. I would have took him in the squad, and I think they missed out a bit big time.
And it makes it even more crazy that Luke Shaw's the only left back. So I suppose all three of us are putting Luke Shaw at left back because there isn't another one.
It's a given. I think the option would be Trippier can play at left back. So if there was an injury, he'll probably use Trippier across on the other side. But Shaw's going to play all the games by the looks of it.
Yeah. Southgate likes players he can trust. He's quite limited from a tactical perspective, but with his selections and his team lineups, he's not very adventurous with it. So he likes like a team that's going to work hard, be compact and organised and very safe, even though England do tend to have a lot of the ball against the opposition that they play in the warm-up games and the qualifiers, especially like at home when they're playing the likes of Hungary or Albania or whoever they play. He still likes to pick similar lineups. So, like you said, it's going to be interesting. Like I think those are definitely nailed on, the likes of Kane, Trippier. I'd say probably Pickford as well in goal because he likes Pickford. But I think he's going to spring a surprise on the left. Like I think, like you said, Foden, I expect Saka to play as well. But I think on the left, I don't think he fancies Sterling. He's been playing wing back. Rashford's I think, he's had a good season, but he's played a lot of the season through the middle. So I actually can see him playing Mason Mount tucked in off the left. I don't know what you boys think about that, but I think that because he trusts Mount and Mount plays a lot.
See, I was actually going to go a slightly different angle here. So the way I worked it out was, if in the attacking positions, I think he'll go Foden and Bellingham in front of Rice, and then I think I've got this feeling he's going to go with Rashford off the left and have a go at them from a pace perspective, based on exactly what you've said around. He doesn't seem to be on to Sterling, and the only thing I'd say about Sterling's a big game player.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that. He falls in that category of Southgate trusts him. And as we've seen with Pickford, that means a lot to Southgate. And maybe why Maguire will get a start as well. But
I think he'll play Saka. I agree with that. I think he might play Rashford. I think he might play Kane. I think it might look like a 4-3-3. It really might look that way. And I think that's the way he's going to go in the first game. I've got a feeling he's going to play Rashford. I could be wrong.
Do you think he's tailoring well, I mean, I hope he is. If he's earning his bread, he's going to tailor the formation and the team for Iran and who he's playing, surely. So he can afford to be a bit more risque. And why not go for it and start the tournament with a bang, a 3-4-0 win, get the country bouncing and, go for it.
Absolutely.
He's never really done that, though. Like, he's never really gone with a 3 in the middle. Like, even in the Euros, when we were playing the likes of Sweden and in the group games and stuff, he always played 2 sitting players. And I know it was Calvin Phillips last time who was gone, but he's had fitness problems. He likes that too. I like to compare Solskjaer to Southgate with when we had the 2 sitters with McCartney and Fred. It's exactly the same. I see like similar traits when I watch the England team. It's like really safe, but there's a lot of attacking talent in that England team. It should be a lot more expressive than it is. So that would be really a surprise if he went with the 3 with the 2 8s in front of the 6, because he's never really done that before. So for him to go into the first game, I know it's Iran and I don't know much about them, but it would be a big surprise for me personally if he did that.
I think the main Iranian threat, from what I can recall, is I think they've got a lad at Porto who scored a few Champions League goals.
Yeah.
And then there's a centre forward who's decent as well, isn't there?
Taremi, yeah.
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 But I think that's where he'll have to watch. But I believe I can't see the need to hold back against them, and I just don't believe that it would make any sense to not try and stretch, because off the ball you can become a 4-5-1. You can compact, and you can say to them wider attacking players like Saka and Rashford, just hold your space. Make sure you watch what's behind you a little bit as well, and give Kane that license to push on. And I think off the ball you can be more expressive and go a 4-3-3. I mean, I'd struggle to find an argument for him not to do that. I really would.
Yeah. I think it's a statement. It's a chance for England to sort of lay down a marker, because obviously second day into the tournament, there's going to have been no big teams that play. The Netherlands play after England do. And it's a chance for England to go out and really be on the front foot and take the game to Iran, because I think if England just scrape by with a pretty laboured performance, I don't think the fans are going to be too happy with that, especially with it being the easiest game on paper in the group, because I don't think Wales and the USA games are going to be easy at all with the emotion behind those two games. So I think England have got a real opportunity to go and strike some fear in some of the other nations and go and put a good performance out there.
Okay, so on that, striking fear, which strikes fear for me at the back, I really worry about Pickford. I really do.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Me and Obi were both shaking our head. I'm
a no for Pickford too. I'm a no for Pickford.
I'd go Nick Pope, and I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I do.
Him or Ramsdale, definitely.
But he won't. No, we know that. So I suppose the centre backs, I personally would go Ben White and John Stones.
I would.
The big fear is
it's mad.
We all know what's coming, don't we?
ABM. Anyone but Maguire.
2 years, mate. It's painful. I've seen it, mate. I know what's coming tomorrow, and you just know, no matter how well England play, he is going to make individual errors. Yeah. Like, he just can't help himself, unfortunately. It's not a personal vendetta. It's nothing against him as a person. I don't know him. It's got nothing to do with him himself. He just is one of those really error-prone footballers. Even when he's played well, his natural physical attributes just don't allow him to
He's just not a good footballer. Let's just have it right.
It's mad.
He runs with rickets. He hasn't got the style of legs that make a finesse footballer who can play football. How he's ever got himself in this position is beyond me.
It's mad. It's mad.
I think what I would say is, and I think he looked quite good at teams that didn't have an awful lot of the ball. And this is the thing that always comes back to me with regards to players when they're coming through. But when you're playing at a top team and you're exposed, you've got to be decent. Whereas you could probably, and I'm not saying you'll get away with it in the Premier League, but at Hull and at Leicester, when he's playing against probably 7, 8, 9 teams who are going to have more of the ball than you, and you're going to be compact, and you're going to have 2 defensive midfielders in front of you, and you're going to have a certain amount of cover. You're going to be deep at points because you're worried about the pace of the teams running in behind, especially some of the superstars you play against. You can look really good in that, and you can look good in the air because you're clearing the ball in the air all the time. I would say a similar thing with Tarkowski at Everton. When he was at Burnley, he looked a better player than he does now at Everton, and it's because Lampard's tried to play more expansive football, and he looks a bit more exposed. And it's horses for courses. And you can look good in the Premier League, but you see, when you're constantly 2-on-2, you need to be everything. You need to be brilliant. You need to win that individual battle for the whole 90 minutes. And that's the difference between a good Premier League centre-back and the players that should be at the real top teams.
So
when you play for the top teams, it's you're right, Scott. Go on, mate.
Centre back, we're all in agreement. It's ABM, anyone but Maguire. Yeah.
Well, I don't.
That's what we would do. We know Maguire's starting.
How can he start? How can he start when it's a clean sweep in here that even Connor Cody's ahead of Maguire? Is Connor Cody even in the squad?
Yeah, he is.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Even
But
he's ahead of Maguire.
what would bother me is if he played someone like Dyer as well. So I think he's got two weak defenders, centre backs, and knowing the way Southgate is, and it's two players that he likes, he's going to play one of them at some point, and it's like I'm just bothered.
Neymar must be licking his lips.
Oh, exactly. But we saw what happened the other week with Dyer when he comes up against a decent striker in Salah, and he got absolutely roasted, and he looked like he was all over the place.
I suppose the only danger here is that Ben White has been playing his trade at right back.
Yeah.
So do you think that will go against him a little bit in the World Cup to ask him to just slot into centre back? Will that go against him?
He's a clever footballer, though.
If England play against a big nation like a France or a Brazil, where there's speed in wide areas like Vinicius or Mbappe or Dembele,
it's game over.
Yeah. Well, they have to go to a 3, because then you can put Walker one side and you can put Ben White the other side, or even Luke Shaw left side of centre half, and then put 2 wing backs in. That's the only way I can see England dealing with that pace, because if, like you said, if you put in balls down the side of Maguire in the channels, how's he going to deal with that sort of pace? Let alone fullbacks. Do you know what I mean? Just 1v1 against someone like Mbappe or Vinicius, Anthony, Richarlison, you name it. Like, you're just reeling the names off. Like, these aren't even like all the nations. You're thinking about Argentina with Messi and the likes of Lautaro Martinez and stuff like that in other leagues. England aren't going to be able to cope with that kind of pace. So, like you said, I think through the groups they will play a 4. And then I think England, if they go through the group, will play the second place team or the winners of the group we saw today. So it could potentially be England, Netherlands in the last 16, depending on where each team finishes. Well, you'd expect them probably both to finish top. So you're looking at England, Senegal, which again would be a test, but you'd probably expect England to come through that. Does anyone know what side of the draw it is after the round of 16? Is it the quarter? Is it the French side or?
No,
I can't remember.
Know. I don't know off the top of my head.
I can't remember. I just know that every time I looked at a scenario, it ended badly, and it was just based on them, the centre backs and the goalkeeper, and it really, really bothers me.
So go on then. I tell you what. Let's get back to the team then. So we're pretty much we're all in agreement. Anyone but Pickford. So big shouts to Ramsdale, Pope, Trippier right back, Shaw left back, Ben White, and John Stones in the centre.
Yeah.
Declan Rice holding with Foden and Bellingham off him.
Yeah.
And Saka on the right, Kane up top. You two are saying Rashford. I wasn't going to say Rashford.
I think he'll play Mount. I think he'll go with Mount.
I was going to say Sterling. I think he'll be loyal to Sterling off the left. Can anyone make a realistic case for Jack Grealish?
No.
No one fancies him.
He'll come on. He'll come on with 10 minutes to go if we're leading narrowly and just get fouled a lot. That's what he seems to be. That's what seems to be his thing. And I'm not saying that like against Iran. What I'm saying is, as the tournament goes on, he'll be the one who will be trying to defend us when we're ahead, by drawing the ball, drawing the fouls, slowing down the play. And he'll probably be an option when we're behind as well, because they'll bring him on and he's someone different. But by doing the same thing, being more direct, than he probably would be if we were leading narrowly and trying to draw out defenders and draw out play and do something intricate and get us in that way.
And you getting to watch any of it tomorrow? Obviously, it's a horrendous time for the English, 1 PM. I'm sure I'll get it on my phone or on my computer as long as no one comes in the office.
We'll have it on in the office.
You'll have it on the office? Nice.
Yeah, we'll have it on.
OB, you're the boss man. Are you allowing people to watch it?
Nobody's asked. So I'll have it on.
So you'll have it on.
My phone.
Just be on his own.
Yeah, that's it. I'll just be sitting there like looking at it going, oh my goodness, I can't believe we've got Harry Maguire and Eric Dyer playing at centre back.
Jack Grealish up top.
Jack Grealish up top, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, so anyway, look, the real World Cup starts tomorrow, because today, like we say, was just a farce. So let's see what happens. Let's see what Ole Gunnar Southgate can do. And let's get the nation bouncing again. Before we head on to the last topic we're going to talk about tonight, which is Ronaldo, has anyone heard that Badil and Skinner, It's Coming Home, 3 Lions on My Sleigh song?
No.
Oh, it's horrendous. They've
Is it?
absolutely killed it.
No.
Put it into
I don't wanna
YouTube
hear
after
it.
this. It's horrendous.
I won't be listening to that at all.
Absolutely
Not for
killed
me.
it. Right, Ronaldo, we haven't done a stream since this whole 2-part special interview. Trav, you're going to obviously lead on this.
I ain't going to lead on it because I ain't watched it. I'll be real. I ain't watched it.
He's come off.
Really haven't watched it.
After the second Obi, I don't know if you've seen it, but he's come off quite negative now. They're calling him narcissistic, egotistical, spoiled, and which kind of things we've always known. He's obviously got a big ego and thinks very highly of himself, but he's come across as a bit childish now. And I just can't see what was his end game from this. Obviously, the release of it said everything just before the World Cup. So basically, he's not going to be back in a Man United dressing room, is he? But what are the realistic outcomes? Because when I see about them consulting lawyers, they're going to sack him. I'm thinking that's not even a thing. Sacking him means paying off his contract up till June, surely, which could be the tune of £12 million, is it? Maybe
even
more.
If there's a breach of contract.
Well, I don't know. That's what I think. Surely a contract's a contract.
This is where I think the legalities and the lawyers come in that sense. United are desperate not to pay him now as he's breached his contract. So there's going to be that controversy to sort out. But this sort of stems back from the summer and us needing a striker. He wasn't there all pre-season. I know he had his personal issues and my heart goes out to him genuinely for that. Do you know what I mean? You can't legislate for that at all. But I think to miss all pre-season, he couldn't have expected to be in the team from that point. Apart from the first 2 games, after that, we'd sort of started the season well. Pre-season was good without him as well. I'm trying to talk from a pure footballing perspective here. We were trying to, Ten Hag, you could tell, was trying to move forward with the notion that Ronaldo was going to be an important part of the squad, but not necessarily integral to the first team. And I think he made his intentions clear from pre-season as he wasn't playing. He must have just thought, well, I can't hang my hat on this player. I can't even choose him. I don't know when he's going to be back. He was trying to force a move. Do you know what I mean? All this was happening behind the scenes. Why would we build a team around this person who was actively trying to get out of the club? So it was only going to end how it ended now, in tears. And I was saying it to my family. I think I might have said it to you. He had a good first season, but the moment he thought his standard was too high for the club and the direction that we were going in, it was always going to end in tears. And like you said, he's been one of those players that has always thought about his own career before the team. Unfortunately, it's ended sad, and I'm sad as a United fan. But I said it was going to end like this. I just want him gone now, and I just think even if we don't get a striker until the summer, I'd like to get one in January. It's a tough market, but as long as he's gone, then it's one of the other issues in the squad solved.
Trav, I'm not expecting you to know the answer to this, but from someone obviously that loves the club, and I presume you still love Ronaldo, this is not going to tarnish his legacy, is it?
No, not to that degree.
Why couldn't you just shut up, play the games that he's given, the minutes, Europa League, whatever it is, and just leave quietly in June? Why did he have to cause this great big furore? Why did he have to be...
You've got to understand, Scotty, in his head, with his elite mentality and what he's done in the game, I don't matter if he's 37, it's sort of similar to Zlatan. He must have looked what was in front of him in the squad playing. He's got Rashford, like, being shoehorned into this striker position. Martial never fit. And then you've got players like Elanga, who's next in line, in terms of centre forwards at the club. He must have been thinking, if I can't get in ahead of this pecking order, then there's an issue. Do you know what I mean? Like,
disrespect.
Where am I going wrong? Yeah, like I'm being disrespected. I'm Ronaldo. It's that sort of approach. Do you know what I mean? I can't get in ahead of these guys. That's where it all stems from. It's like, same with the national team. This national team manager can't even think about dropping him. Absolutely can't even think about it. It's going to cause uproar. Do you know what I mean? But like you said, a lot of people just see football on the face of it. So, for example, with the Portugal scenario, you're going to get people in Portugal or in other countries supporting Portugal who don't even watch football, but all they're going to know is Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the controversy these decisions is going to cause is what's there for all to see in a United shirt. So for me, I just think we should have done. Man U are partly at fault. They should have released him in the summer, and they should have been strong with that. They should have got him a move, got him out, actively tried to force him out, and then a lot of this mess wouldn't have happened.
But I don't think they would have had to have forced him out. Obviously, he's mentioned this 350 million euro offer from Saudi Arabia, but obviously with his ego and chasing records, wanting to play Champions League, yeah, of course, money's important as always, and it's probably the factor of why he didn't go to someone like Napoli on 100k a week. But the thing that he didn't come across was, well, where else could you have gone? Because everyone's led to believe there was nowhere else. No one else wanted him. And I can't imagine that's true. I just imagine it was someone like Napoli. We'll have you. Here's 100k a week. And he's like, no, I want 400k a week. So surely he's to blame in that way. You either want the records or you want the money.
Let me just ask you a question. Take the money out of it, salaries and everything. Envisage Ronaldo at any club in the world. Is he going to sit on the bench now? Like, is he?
Yeah.
It depends on what level.
To sit on the bench, that's my point.
Would he be happy? Oh no, of course not. Of course not. Sorry.
Exactly. So
I was thinking, would he get in at Man City? I'm thinking, no.
No.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to say. Even if he was at Man City, he wouldn't. I know Pep's a much stronger manager, and what he says goes. But he still would not be happy sitting on Man City's bench at all. Do you know what I mean? Even if he was going to go to City last year, which he nearly did, he would have gone with it in his mind that he was going to play games or play the big games before Haaland joined. So I think Man City sort of dodged a bullet with it, unless they would have just gave him a 1 year with Haaland coming in this season. But I don't know. I just don't think Ronaldo is going to accept being on the bench. He's like Zlatan. Wherever he goes, it's about him.
So where could he go then upon the termination of his contract or being suspended until June? Where could he?
I'll let you answer that one.
Where could he go? And if it is an answer then, why wasn't it an answer last summer then?
So the word and the rumor seems to be that there seems to be some connection with Inter Miami through David Beckham, which basically signals the end of his top flight career. However, it seems like it would only be that type of move that would make any sense at this point. To your point, he isn't going to get in any of the other big teams. He showed a lot of bad qualities that other managers would go, I'm going to swerve him now. He showed a decline at Man United as well, certainly over the last 6-8 months. I would say he doesn't look like, even when he is playing, that he's the same player that he was even the front end of last season when he come back in all this pomp and everybody was crying and singing songs about him and all that nonsense.
That was only Trav.
But the thing was, it seemed to be overhyped for me at the time because he's always been an individual in a team sport, and when he could live up to that with his skill and with his ability, he kind of got away with it, and he was allowed to be that individual. Now he's just another player, and it's his ego that's the problem here. His ego is he's suddenly not the player that he used to be, and he can't handle it. He cannot handle it.
And isn't it funny that fans can't see this, Obi? Because obviously, when you're saying that there, I think back to, remember when Everton re-signed Wayne Rooney? They were singing, dancing in tears. And I remember thinking, are you mad? Have you not watched him the last season or two? He's slow, he's old, he's finished. And then obviously Ronaldo went back, and it was literally like, it's like they've signed 28-year-old Ronaldo. They're mental.
And it is similar to Zlatan in a lot of ways, that as he started to decline, you see them struggling to cope with it. He still talks about it. I mean, Zlatan still talks about himself in the third person and all sorts of mad stuff, but he's completely off the chart. But imagine when you're as good as what he is, he'll have a load of people around him telling him he's amazing. They're never going to stop going, "Oh, you're amazing," even though they think he's not as amazing as he used to be. And so he'll still believe it because he's in a completely different bubble, a completely different world to us. he's got people like Piers Morgan, who's basically just sucking up to him and wanting likes and retweets on Twitter. And that's not helpful. He's got the wrong circle. He's being fed what he wants to hear rather than the reality. And when he's come across a manager who's gone, well, actually, no, you're going to do it by the book, and I'm going to tell you exactly. Yeah, he's gone mad.
The difference between Zlatan and Ronaldo as well is if you're talking about them as players, Zlatan's never been a player that's had to rely on pace to be effective, whereas Ronaldo's always been short, sharp, explosive, power, pace. Once he lost that pace, he was always going to struggle in his later years. And I think with Ronaldo, you can even see, I'm watching him in these United games, and do you know sometimes the ball goes into your feet and you have a bit of a poor first touch? You chase it, don't you? He looks knackered, like he can't even chase the ball. It's just so depressing and sad to see. I'm like, this was the best player in the world at this club 10, 12 years ago, and he's absolutely finished. I'm just like, it's not fair on him, and the team just can't progress. We just need to cut ties. Man City did it with Aguero, company, just loads of players. You get to 35 and that, and it's just, I can remember the same with Rio and Gary Neville at United, and like, Gary Neville actually makes a joke about it, because I can remember when we played against West Brom away and he had an absolute stinker.
And he quit, didn't he?
Yeah. He was like, that was the game. I just knew I was done. It's just like everyone just gets to an age and it's just normal. But for him, for some reason, he just cannot, like Obi said, he just cannot accept that he's 37 now. Like any 37-year-old is going to
feel. The other thing that's really interesting about this whole deal was, I think United felt like they had to do it because Fergie went to him, you can't go to Man City. How interested were Man City really? How far down the line was that deal? Or was it a bit of a play by City to go, well, we're going to go after him, and the agents have fed into it, and United have hit the panic button. So it's a bit of a, your City rivals got one over you again, because it was only in a conversational point, and it wasn't like they weren't drawing contracts or any of that. I think City might have done a number on United as well, you know.
I hope that's true. Yeah. I hope it's true. But yeah,
talking about as bait to ruin us.
But talking about players in the 30s and then they're finished, that'll be Casemiro next year, Travis. I'm pretty sure.
No.
I think he's got the intelligence on the pitch to go on for another 2 or 3 years, I would say.
Only 2 or 3?
Yeah. He'll have another 2 or 3 years in him. I think he's got. He's a clever footballer. He is a clever footballer, Casemiro. Whereas Ronaldo's always had to rely on his individual talent, and he, when that's drifted away from his pace, he also doesn't close down. So he's not playing part of Ten Hag's pressing game. Yeah, and he's not helping himself.
Yeah.
So he's not doing the running. Whereas, interestingly, when Pep came into City, Aguero took on the running and took on that attitude in the right way and gone, this wasn't naturally my game, but I'm going to start running about like crazy. And it actually gave him longevity at the club as well, because I think Guardiola would have got rid of him. And the other thing was, Guardiola got rid of Zlatan because of the ego thing as well. You know what I mean? And it's like, and he did that at Barcelona. He just says, I can't deal with this guy. You know what I mean? He's just out of control. So ego will get you so far in football, and it probably gets footballers to where they are a great player. But to stay at elite level, they've got to be a little bit humble and think about the team rather than the individual.
Trav, I'm not saying that you're Ronaldo's estate agent or anything, but what's his living arrangements? Is that his home in the UK that he's always had, or is he renting? Do you know? Because he's obviously moved his whole family.
Over here, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. He must have pads everywhere there.
Is he renting out that room at the hotel that Mourinho stayed at for a couple of years?
I don't know. To be fair, like I've watched that Netflix documentary with his missus on it. It's just all about her and her lifestyle, like being Ronaldo's wife and stuff like that. And it shows you how she lives, and she's just flying all over the place, modelling and everything. So he's got pads everywhere, pads in Turin, where he used to be at Juventus and all sorts. So I don't know, like.
Well, his kids are all here though, aren't they? They're in the Man United academy.
One of them's in the academy. Yeah.
So he'll be moving them all again to somewhere else.
I know.
Into Miami. They're all moving to Miami. That's the way it'll go.
I think so. He'll be a superstar out there as well. An absolute superstar.
It's a brand. It's a brand, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm
not so sure though. I think he's still got business in the Champions League, chasing some numbers. So yeah, we'll have to just see what happens.
Back to Sporting Lisbon, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that would make sense, wouldn't it? Right, lads, let's sign off there. If you made it this far, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll probably stream again towards the end of this week, lads, if that's all right with you. Or we might do an emergency stream tomorrow night if England don't get the win, because that will be something to talk about.
England don't win.
It'll be Southgate out, surely, if we don't win tomorrow against Iran, the mighty Iran.
We could just call that the Maguire hour, can't we?
Right, let's see what happens. Let's see if we can all sneakily watch it in the office at work tomorrow. Right, cheers, lads. Cheers for coming on.
Cheers.
See you in the next one. Cheers, lads.
Bye.
Cheers.